Welcome back. We just heard such an interesting conversation with Vishal Sikka. He's a visionary technologist. And the key takeaway is that there's no doubt the disruption is here. The gain to productivity on account of generative AI can be substantial. But you also need to separate the potential of AI from the here and now, because enterprises are complex and, in a way, slow to adopt technology. Sandip Agarwal, fund manager at Sowilo Investment Managers, is also joining in. Sandip, with Vishal Sikka, Prashant's conversation was more about the business impact. But what's happening right now is also a massive amount of valuation derating and the fear that the projected earnings may not come through. Even the EPS will get crunched. What is your own expectation of where the valuations are today for large caps, mid caps, and what is the appropriate valuation when there is so much uncertainty?
So, hi, thanks for having me on the show. So, Rima, I have a very clear view that, there are two different impacts. One is the business model and one is the market cap and the EPS and the valuation. So, since last 16, 18 months, I have been massively negative on the valuation and the multiple which asset managers and fund managers and analysts are assigning. I don't have any big doubt on the business model at all. So, I think that business model is intact. There is not much change because the nature of our business is such. So if you see the current cycle, hardware cycle has come back after more than 2 decades. So that is doing phenomenal. And the worst impact is on the software side because you have to reprice. It is an annual renewal kind of product. And the least impact will be on the software services. So we are in the software services where the impacts will be least. The only challenge is most of our projects are 5 years. So every year 20% come for renewal and you will see a 20% cut in the effort. So basically it doesn't make commercial sense to go preempt that. So every year when renewal comes, the management will renegotiate. So you will see a 4-5% negative impact on overall revenue for a few years. But at the same time, you will get 8-9%, 10% kind of new business growth. So net you will be 4-5% growth for 2-3 years. And for that, the multiples which are there, I am very, very skeptic to assign that kind of multiple. So my call for last 15-16 months in every interaction is on the valuation of the sector and the market cap, not on the business model. So I am not negative on the business model, nor I have a view that there will be a cascading impact on the employment and there will be a cascading impact on real estate and all that. So I am not in that camp, but I definitely believe there is a lot more PD rating which is still due.
So for an industry which is growing at 4-5%, what is the appropriate valuation multiple, Sandip? And how far away from it currently?
So Rima, I am not an analyst anymore, but if you recall in 2021, when, there was so much of pain, I wrote during peak of COVID, most bullish in a decade note. And it was primarily because of the things which were changing. Now, if I would have been analyst last year, I would have written most bearish in a decade. And the reason was that time also valuation and now also valuation. So I would say that, a PEG ratio of more than 2 times for an industry which has 5-6% growth for long is little high. And a PEG ratio of more than 3 times for mid caps, which can grow at 10-12% is also high. So I would be more comfortable to give a 20-25% premium to utility companies because of the good management, because of the huge cash generating capacity and all that. So I will assign, maybe 12, 13, 10 to 15 times multiple somewhere in between to large caps and maybe 15 to 20 times to mid cap. But I would be very skeptical to give any more multiple beyond that because this is a mature industry. So more or less large caps are X of growth, to be honest.
But if, so large caps today are trading at what, 18-20 times?
Yeah, so they are, depending on the estimates, if you see Bloom numbers, they are 18-20 times. I think there is still more correction, which should happen there.
But if the valuation multiple, the derating has to come down to say a 13 times, 14 times, we're still looking at a 30% correction from here on. I mean, can it get as steep as that? Or do you think at some point, because these are dividend-paying companies, there is free cash flow yield, etc., at that point it'll start looking attractive?
So, the only thing which can change from here in this is that, at some point of time, it may happen that the asset managers decide that, okay, we are getting similar growth in some of the FMCG names. So, switch those FMCG names with 1/3 the multiple or 1/2 the multiple for IT. If that happens, then probably the bleeding will stop. But otherwise, I think large cap is still minimum 20% correction should happen to make them reasonable and investable.
And mid caps?
Mid cap, I'm very negative. I think 40-50% correction is coming. Still 40-50% correction, I believe, should happen, and or the growth should pick up. But it is very difficult for the growth to pick up from here. In my view, we have at least 12 months more before growth can pick up.
Thank you, Sandip. A short conversation, but a real punchy one. brace yourself for a lot of sell-off coming through in IT names, 20% maybe for large caps, 40-50% for the mid caps as valuations get realigned to lower growth and a lot of uncertainty.
Some bulls will be happy that